Hey everyone, it's your incredible host today of the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. It's Marcus
And Karmea.
here on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. We have an incredible guest today. This man is going to help us do better with college. We all know about college expenses, college tuition, grants, student loans, the whole nine, and it's frustrating. Am I going to get a stimulus from President Biden? I don't know. I don't know. I've given up. I've given up. But we have a true professional on the show today. So we can't wait to introduce who we have coming up. So here we go. Of Gentlemen's Hour Podcast and the beautiful Miss Karmea Wells. And the gentleman we are going to talk about today is Dr. Kuni Beasley. This man is over 40 years, has been helping students for over 40 years, helping students reach their college goals. Since 2011, Dr. Beasley and his team have helped students earn over $300 million in scholarships, grants, with students admitted to the top academies and universities such as Harvard, Cornell, and service academies like West Point and Annapolis. So he's helping everybody go to college practically with zero debt. And Carmina, that's important to talk about. We got to talk about this, right?
Yes. Especially what we have going on right now with the student loans starting back being paid. If this is not a reminder to please find out how you could be financially free of all this debt before you go into it, I don't know what is.
For those of you, so I'll sneak the question in there. We can ask this expert. I don't know if he can help you if you already got the student loan debt, but we'll find out on this show today. So help me welcome to the stage the incredible Dr. Beasley.
Greetings.
Welcome, Doctor. Thank you for being here on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. We love you, sir. Thank you for making time for us today to talk about such a crucial topic, an important topic, college. Oh my gosh, it hurts when I say it. I'm so sorry, but sir,
Shouldn't hurt at all. I had a good time.
I went online. I did all online college. Carmia, did you go to online or the full path?
Went in person.
Ooh.
I went in person, and I was not a student that stayed on campus. I was a day student.
So
I was a day student.
So she got the full brunt of it, doctor. So I got the online setting, so I didn't get the full alumni and the hazing and all of that. But I first want to start here. Why is student loan debt so expensive? I chose a different path because even as a young man, I saw the numbers and I had older friends and I had older families that were like in their 60s still paying this debt off, right? So, doctor, let's start there. Why is a student loan so expensive, even for like private local students?
Well, it was not so much as expensive. It's getting down to the way that one of the development directors at a college came and told me one time was that they had so many students who applied, and that they had taken of those students, a couple of thousand of those students, and every one of them was willing to take out a $40,000 or $50,000 loan to go to the school. The problem that we have is the money is made so easily available. It's just typical econ 101 problem. If money is cheap and the supply is there, you're going to have inflation. So within the realm of college expenses, you have this hyperinflation because the colleges can continue to crank up the cost, and you have all this money there that you have an 18-year-old just signs for it, can hundreds of thousands of dollars they can sign for. That same 18-year-old couldn't go down and buy a car on the signature, but the colleges will allow them to rack up hundreds of thousands of dollars in student debt because it's most of it is government guaranteed. They know that the government's going to back it, and there's no way of getting out of it. You can't even die to get out of it because in a lot of student loans they're going to go after your estate before first they got first dibs on your estate. And
What?
unfortunately, many students today who take out these huge loans will never get them paid back in their lifetime. They're going to have to die, and the insurance will cover it.
That
That's
hurts.
sad. That's sad. I mean, but it's
Mm.
true. I mean, I had a student about 3 years ago came to me. He had just finished medical school and asked if there was a way that he could get his debt taken care of. And I said, well, I calculate everything out. So you're going to be 63 when you're done paying your debt. So you're going to spend your entire professional life paying back the government. So there's ways of avoiding this. Number one is get a scholarship.
Get a scholarship. So
That's
get
that's
a
that's
so
that's the easiest way.
I was sharing this with my co-host that I don't know that process of applying for scholarships because I had the military just kind of streamline that process. So I
I
have
had I had the military too. I had the military. I had more than the military.
yeah,
Uh,
more
you
than a
know.
minute. What that we're gonna talk about that because you went
Okay.
to college for 22 years
Yeah.
and only paid for one semester.
Yep.
So we're gonna touch on that. But it's like so. Can we explain the process before we dive into that? What is the process for typically a student goes through? Because I didn't have that experience.
Well, the best thing you can do if you're just a regular academic type person is you make good grades and you get high test scores because um, 80 to 85% of the colleges will admit you and scholarship you on grades and test scores alone. Indeed, University of Alabama, 32 ACT and a 3.5 will get you $118,000 in scholarship money. That's automatic, by the way. Okay.
$118,000.
Yeah, 118,000. It's 20. I think it's 26,000 a year, something like that. And there's
Mm.
colleges that are like that. They have automatic scholarships. You hit the numbers, you get the scholarship. University of Kentucky is like that. Mississippi. There's several colleges out there, and there are other ways of that. That's the primary way. Good grades, good test scores,
So
and
how
that.
where is all of this information? Because I feel or I think you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it's not centralized. It's not a one-stop place where I can say I'm going
Well,
to this college. I want to apply for scholarships.
there's kind of a one. Okay, two things. All of this information, like the Alabama thing, it's on their website. Okay. Uh, Kentucky's on their website. Florida International, it's on their website. I mean, but you have to know what to put in the Google search. You have to. There's certain.
Mhm.
I mean, people think
Mm.
because I had somebody say, "Well, everything you're telling me, I can find on the internet on my own." It says, "Yeah, you can. You can also Google how to take out your appendix too." Okay, but I wouldn't, try to do it on my own. And that's what happens is that yes, everything out there is available. All human knowledge is located in the library someplace. Okay, now are you going to take the like I did 40 years to learn it? Because your kid's going to be producing grandkids by then, okay? Or you can go to somebody like me who knows how to get there and show you how to do it, and then we get there. I mean, really, it gets down to if you got good grades and you got good test scores and you target the right schools. You want to target schools that give away money. You don't want to target schools
Mhm.
that don't give away money. I have I've had people say, why can't I go to this school? You can get a scholarship out of them. This is because they don't give out scholarships. You know,
Mm.
don't
Mhm.
target. Don't expect to get a scholarship
Some
out of a.
schools do it.
Don't dance with somebody who don't want to dance with you. Okay, go find somebody who wants to dance.
Yep.
There's plenty of schools out there that give very good scholarships. In fact, there's several schools that are absolutely free. I mean, for example, Webb Institute, which is arguably the most exclusive college in the country, they only take 28 students a year, and if you get in, it's free.
Ooh, you had to be on that list real early. That's what it
Well,
sounds
well,
like.
I mean, College of the Ozarks. If you get in, it's free.
That is unheard of. So
Oh yeah.
I interviewed a gentleman and he talked about one of the biggest decisions that families make is figuring out what colleges to go to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they try within budget, they try and visit the campus, try and take a site tour, but that can be expensive. That's a road trip, right? You're going from college to
Yeah,
college with your young preteen, teenager, a
that's
young
your least
adult.
that's your least expensive facet, taking the road trip.
Well, to if my child wants to say they want to visit six colleges, that can be
Hmm.
expensive, especially if
Yeah.
they're not in the same. So I mean, that's a barrier to entry right there.
Hmm.
How can someone find beside is it a website? So just go to the school's website first to make sure that they want to play and make sure that they offering money to go to the school, or is there
Well,
somewhere that
there is a
Mhm.
systematic process that we use. You just
okay,
don't dive into it. Again, a lot of people think they can do it on their own. I mean, I had this accountant tell me, "I'm an accountant. I'm a CPA. I can figure it out." Had an engineer tell me, "I can figure it out." And then, the engineer shows up 3 days before the deadline for application. My kid will work day and night. I said, "You're too late. I mean, you're too late. We can't pull this off in 3 days. I'm sorry." And of course, they got mad because I'm not able to perform the miracle. I tell them, hey, loaves and fishes miracles I can do, but if you want me to raise the dead, you got to spot me the body, okay? And so, yeah, but a lot of times people have unrealistic expectations on the types of miracles that they want because it's reaping and sowing. You got to plant the seed. You got to have good
Mhm.
grades. You've got to have good test scores. You've got to target the places that are going to give you money. You want to go to a school that's going to celebrate you by giving you a scholarship, not some place that you're going to be another person taking a loan in the line. So you have to
Oof.
strategically pick the schools that you're going to target. Okay, and people have this image that the reputation of the school or the school somehow is going to the right school is important for everything else, and that's simply not true. There is not one single study that says that if you go to Harvard or you go to North Carolina State, that somehow going to Harvard is going to give you some sort of advantage. In fact, there is a study that was put out by it's called the Kruger study, that was put out. They started it in 1972, and they tracked people, those who were admitted to Harvard, who attended, and those who admitted and didn't attend and went to other schools. And after 40 years, there was no significant difference in income, success, or any of that stuff. There's not one single study that says if you
what?
go to X school, you're going to do better in your lifetime. Now, there are certain anecdotal things. I mean, if you want to be a Supreme Court justice, you probably need to go to one of the high-end law schools. Okay, but beyond that, I mean, Johnny Cochran, who defended O.J. Simpson, he went to Loma Linda Law School. Okay, so there's a well. Let me just ask you guys some questions. Okay, do you have a
Sure.
family doctor? You have a
Yes.
family doctor? Okay,
Yeah.
Marcus, family doctor. Okay, where did your family
Mm.
doctor go to college?
I don't know.
Did you pick them based on where they went to college?
No.
How
I
about your dentist?
no. I don't know.
Carmea,
I
I
don't
mean your
know his
dentist. Okay, so you've got two people whose skills are very, very important, and you pay a lot of money to them, or somebody does if your insurance does,
Mhm.
and you didn't even consider where they went to college. That's how important where you go to college fits in. In fact, right now you're talking doctors. 30% of the doctors who are taking the medical boards, they got their degree outside the United States. I mean, my cardiologist is from China. I have another doctor from Vietnam. Okay, so a lot of people put a lot of credence, and we call it the ego factor. Okay, you know,
I went to
they
Harvard.
I went to Harvard. Well, hey, you know, my wife went to Harvard. Okay,
Right.
my wife was a high school dropout when I met her, and in 2014 she graduated with honors from Harvard. My total cost of Harvard was $22,000. Most of that was the apartment in Cambridge. I put her and her two
Mm.
daughters through college for less than $30,000.
That is huge. That is incredible. So what about the alum, right? Harvard also
Oh
has
yeah,
the alum affiliations.
yeah, you have the alumni field, and there is some credence to that. But when you actually take the longitudinal study, it's not there. The data is not there.
Mm,
Okay. The data
mm,
is not there. Now, I would say if you went into the Army and you went to West Point, you would probably have a few anecdotal advantages. But in the long run, Colin Powell went to City College in New York, and he became chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And so there are examples of people who didn't go to big name colleges. And so
Mm.
we have to first remove that. Unless you can get a scholarship there, that's fine. If you want to go, I went to Texas Christian University on a full scholarship. I had, and get this, Mark, is an ROTC scholarship, Army ROTC. They paid for pretty much everything, and I picked a very expensive college even at that time, and they paid for everything.
Wow.
So and
Yes.
Wow. Sir, I
so
feel bamboozled. I feel swindled. I feel like millions of Americans are getting cheated, because that is
Mm.
insane that you're living proof that it can be done, but it's just we're not making that connection. We're still trillions of dollars in debt, trillion
mhm.
of dollars in the hole. When did you, I want to talk about the passion, when did you say, you know what, I need to help people? When did you make that transition? Was it 22 years ago? Like what's kick fired that passion within you to
Well,
start
well,
your
what
start doing this?
it wasn't so much kick fired. I was in the Army. I was lieutenant in the Army, and I was a test control officer. And
Thank you
one of
for
the
your
things,
service.
Thank you
yeah,
for
one of the
serving.
yes, yeah, you're welcome, and thank you. One of the projects I got was trying to figure out how we would give soldiers access to get college credit and to get college degrees. And so I did some research on it, and I looked up the CLEPs and the Dantes, and then I looked up colleges that you could do almost completely. This is before we could do things online, completely by correspondence. And I got out this book called Bear's Guide to Correspondence Education, and consequently, a lot of military people went to, at that time, it was called New York Regents, State University of New York, and it's now called Excelsior College, where they could basically compile and collect credits, send them to this college, and the college would issue them the degree. They've thousands and thousands and thousands of military people have gotten their degree through Excelsior College. And so, based on that, I kept the interest up. And as years went by, and of course, I started having, having to deal with my kids and stuff. And it came down to, how am I going to pay for my kid? And I said, I'm not paying. I'm going to figure this out. And so, by the time I had the first kid ready for college, I had it figured out. And she ended up getting an academic scholarship and a music scholarship. Both of them took care of half the stuff. In fact, after she um, enrolled, we got a check back for $1,500. So they paid us $1,500 to send her to college. It was a private college, small private college, Texas Wesleyan. It's in Fort Worth, small private
Mm.
college. And so, there are just ways of understanding this. If again, when you're dealing with this, I kind of classify the people in this industry in three ways. You have surgeons. These are the people like me who really know the system or can go in there, can perform the surgery. Then you have the paramedics. These are the kind of people that kind of patch you up and get you something that to you will seem adequate. And then you got the ambulance drivers. These guys know how to get to the hospital. They know a couple of fundamental things, but you don't want them going back and doing surgery in the back of the ambulance. Okay, most of the people that are out there who are in the business, particularly your high school counselors and stuff, they're ambulance drivers. Okay, they know
Y-
enough to
y-
get you to the right place and to say, well, you need to take your SAT and here's how you do your essay and things like that. Then you got a couple of people who your paramedic types who got a couple of gimmicks they can show you, things like that. They'll sell you insurance or get you to refinance your house or something like that, or cash in your retirement. They'll try to find some way to do that. And then there's folks that people come to me, and my job is to either get them into the institution that they want, or get them the scholarship that's going to put them in a situation where they pay little or no out of pocket to go to college and no loans. Okay,
mhm.
That's a
and I got to put a caveat in here.
yeah.
There is a time and a place to strategically take loans. There are specific cases where you would take the loan. Okay,
Mhm.
would you like me to go into that one?
Yeah, yeah. What's
Okay.
the
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And I'll give you a specific example. We had a student who got accepted at Georgetown. Okay. Dad was a millionaire. Dad could have just taken it out of his pocket change to pay for it. But I sat down with them and says, okay, here, okay, if you're taking that money out of your portfolio, okay, how's your portfolio performing? And he says it's sitting about 9.5%. And I said, okay, why don't you take out the loan for 5%? Continue to allow your portfolio to grow at 9.5%, and then at the end of college, take that 9.5% money and pay off the loan. Okay, because you're getting that delta in there. I mean, this is good old business practices. Is your performance money is doing better instead of just dropping that, and he'll lose that differential while the girl's in college. So do that. And that's one way of
Mhm.
doing it.
Hmm.
Okay. Another way of doing it is that if you're keyed up and set up to go into a particular field or work for a particular organization that will pay back your loans, i.e., if you were in the military will pay back your loans. If you go work for the VA in specific programs, they'll pay back your loans. There are several employers and a lot of federal government agencies who will pay back your loans. I had a doctor.
Sorry, it's like that's that's applause worthy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
huge. You had a doctor. Go ahead.
I had a doctor client that I was working with her son, and then she just, as part of our talking about loans and stuff, she said, "I've got all this debt from medical school. So how do I, is there any way I can get rid of this?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "You're a doctor. You're under the age limit. You go join the Army Reserve as a reservist." Okay, she joins the Army Reserve, and the Army Reserve will pay 1/7 at that time 1/7 of her outstanding loan balance every year. And by the way, her loans are put on hold, and so 1/7 of her loans. So after 7 years, she got all her loans paid off. And what she did is she got activated twice, and all she did was backfill for doctors who were being active duty doctors being deployed. But every year she would do her 2 weeks, and they said pick where you want to go. So she would pick Frankfurt, Germany, to do her 2 weeks. Okay, so there's a lot of ways of dealing with this. There's no one single standard way. It's kind of we have like a toolbox that we'll go through based on the situation and the circumstances of the student, and what kind of options we can come up with on finding a ways of not having to pay for college.
So I love that. Because doctors, lawyers, those are the high paid professionals. And to your point earlier, you said, "Hey, did you really care?" But we need those people to have degrees,
Yeah,
right?
that's
I need my doctor, my dentist,
yeah,
my
yeah.
brain surgeon to have a degree. But if there's a student out in the audience
Yes,
that
this is
wants to go
definitely
to medical
something
schools,
that is needed.
yeah.
It was needed a long time ago for me. I don't know if I could be saved, but if you can save me, let me know.
Well,
But
we can try to figure it out if I get your situation. Oh, did we lose her?
She's coming back. She's coming
Okay.
back. But she wants to. That's a great point. Is there options for someone who's gone to college already graduated, but now they're fighting the student loan debt crisis? Is there any
I, I
options there?
I don't know. I have to get at the individual cases. Okay, I can't give you a blanket statement.
Okay, that's
Okay,
fair.
because what'll happen if I give you a blanket statement, everybody's going to have this expectation. They call me up, and then there's a check in the mailbox tomorrow that covers their loan. I mean, there are people who actually think that would call me up and said, I thought you got us money. I mean, I need $17,000 on Friday, and then
Okay,
get mad because it wasn't there. I told you last week I was going to need that money for college. How come I don't have any money for college? I don't
that's
know.
true. That's true.
Because we do have a program for people who need immediate money for college. Okay, number one, with the first address we send them is Santa Claus, North Pole. Write him, give him your thing. The other one is uh, uh, is that you address how much you need. You put it under your pillow to the tooth fairy. Okay, and so I mean, a lot of people think that you just flip a coin and the money appears. Now, if you're in my program, it can almost feel that easy if you have the grades and you have the test scores. Uh, but in a lot of cases, people expect me to pull a rabbit out of the hat, and they come too late. I mean, the biggest single problem is people start their college prep process too late. They take too long doing the stuff. They bust deadlines. I mean, I had a student this last week because I told them you got to get this paperwork in. And because they didn't get this paperwork in, they lost an entire level of college opportunities. Boom, it's gone. Your deadlines are gone. I tell them, I says, you got to remember, like you're catching a train, you know, it's not I'll catch the next train. That train that left that you missed, all the opportunities on that train are gone. You're never going to see them again. It's like taking the PSAT. People don't realize how important that is. Once you take that, it's gone. The opportunities for national merit, national recognition, everything, that's gone. Okay, and this has been going on this month. This is October. This is the PSAT month, and I was sitting there all year telling them, you got to focus on PSAT. You got to focus on PSAT. And they didn't focus on PSAT. Okay, and I said those opportunities are gone. Well, can't we make up for it? No, it's gone. You get one shot. Okay, because for example, PSAT has National Merit Scholarship, which is the top scholarship you can get through that kind of testing. They also have the recognition programs, okay? Hispanic recognition, African American recognition, indigenous recognition, small town recognition. And if you get into one of these recognition programs, which the threshold is a little lower, well, let's see. Alabama will give you a full scholarship. Florida International will give you a full scholarship. All of these things that people don't know. I had one girl in her sophomore scores got national Hispanic, and in her junior scores got national small town rural. So she's got two recognitions, and 25 colleges have already offered her scholarships.
What age or what grade would you say that is the best time to start the PSAT process, to start earning, going for the big, going towards the big money for college?
You should start in the 7th grade. Well, actually,
So
you should start when you pick your spouse. Okay. But no, 7th grade. The PSAT process starts at the PSAT 8 and 9. There's actually one you can take earlier, but 8, 9 gets them going. In fact, I just wrote the article today on doing this. Is that you start at 8 and 9 to get them used to testing, and then you actually begin to prep them for the PSAT 10, and then from the PSAT 10 to the PSAT they take their junior year. You go through intensive prep. You want to get that score up. If you get the National Merit Scholarship by itself is a money magnet. The actual value of the scholarship is about $2,500, but it's a money magnet. Okay, places like University of Oklahoma will give you a full ride because they want to be able to brag that the highest number of National Merit Scholars picked the University of Oklahoma, and because this adds to their esteem. So again, you've got to think strategically, but most people don't know. And the bad part about it is their high school counselors don't know. And most of the people who call themselves college something, they don't know either.
But that's ridiculous.
Insurance.
But that's ridiculous. I'm paying you to know. You're taking this money to know how to help me get through. If you're just gonna say, well, according to the degree you have, you need to take these classes and that's it. I need more than that, especially if I'm coming from an impoverished community or I'm coming from a low income home, or that's heartbreaking.
But it, again, has to do with, for example, we had a Title I school district. You know what Title I school district is?
Nope.
And that means there's a certain percentage of people in the school district below the poverty level. So you got so many people on free lunch and blah, 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 blah. Okay, and I'm not going to mention the school district because I don't want to get sued. Okay,
that's fair.
But I said I was going to do an experiment. I want you to give me 100 kids on the free lunch program, and let me have them for a year. So I provided my program for them for a year. Took 100 kids. Our goal was to get 70 of them college funding. Well, after 1 year, we got all 100 of them fully paid colleges to at least 2 colleges. One of them, 11 colleges.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, so you superseded your study.
No, this is the bad part. They didn't tell the kids.
Who didn't tell the kids?
The administration.
Tell them what? That this funding was approved?
They had it. All they had to do was send the paperwork in. They didn't do that, and what I got back later was the administration didn't want to put it out because they were fearful that the other parents would have pitchforks and torches saying, "Why wasn't my kid in this program?" And then later on, one of them told me that the counselors didn't want to do the extra work required to do that. And that's just part, because your high school counselor, it's not their job to get you into college. It's their job to get you out the door in May. And so a lot of them don't learn this. That they'll go to all of these, college counseling stuff, but it's not so much, to get you scholarships, to get you admitted. It's just basically get you out the door in May, because that's not their job. It's not part of their mission. Now, even in prep schools, I go to prep schools, private schools, and some of the private schools are worse off than the local public school, and they call themselves prep academies. But their prep academy consists of, we provide AP courses and an SAT prep course. That is prep academy to them.
That's horrible.
Horrible.
A regular school can carry that, and that's a regular public school versus That's just, I've never heard that before, because
Yeah,
I went to a regular public school and they had prep, oh, excuse me, they had AP courses, the courses that could basically transfer over to college.
hmm
I've never heard of them trying to make it that easy to call themselves a prep school.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
you have schools that call themselves prep schools. I mean, I deal with I deal with a lot of private schools, and when I come in there, I find out that their counselor says, "Oh, I'm glad to see you. I mean, I've been here 3 years, and I really don't know what to do." And because they don't, and you've got parents who are paying private school
Paying all
tuition,
this money.
yeah, paying all this money, and they're thinking, because see, again, they don't know either. Um, so one of the first things I tell people what I have to do is I've got to deprogram parents. I have to deprogram their kids and get them back and say, this is reality. Okay, number one, if you want to go to this expensive school, and you're going to have to end up taking loans out because they don't give out scholarships, and you can't tell me that it's worth it. Some people say, well, they've got to have this, excuse me for using a schooler, the Baylor experience. I mean, well, that's fine. Go get the Baylor experience, but you don't need to. It's just way too expensive. And there are people who can do it with their pocket change, but the rest of the people think they need to keep up with the Joneses, and so they'll take out the loans to do this. And you can't tell me that because they went to. And I'm going to give you a specific example. This actually happened. Okay, I had a student up in Oregon, and we had a choice between Portland State and the University of Portland. The University of Portland was a private school. Portland State, of course, a state-supported school. Okay, there was the Portland State. The Portland University of Portland cost twice as much as Portland State. Okay, in order to go to Portland State, uh, in order to go to the University of Portland, they were going to have to take out loans. Well, the way we figured it out is that if she goes to University of Portland, she's going to be paying almost $2,000 a month for that loan. Now, she was a nursing student. Nursing degrees are a commodity. Okay, nobody has the ultimate nursing program. Nursing degrees, you pass the nursing boards, you're a nurse. And I,
Hmm.
and I told her, I says, nobody is going to pay you $2,000 more a month because you went to Portland as opposed to Portland State. Still couldn't get it across to them. And of course, 5 years later, they call me up. What can we do now, Dr. Beasley? And I go, make sure it's automatically taken. Or I told her, I said, you may want to go look at working for the VA or something, because they'll pay. If you're in a specific program, they may pay off your loans. And again, I want to put a caveat on this, because people think, well, you just go work for the VA and they'll pay off. No, there's special programs. Find out if you can get an employer who will pay off your loans. I
oh,
mean, I'm living down in the Rio Grande Valley, and in the Rio Grande Valley, if they have a doctor with a specialty that they need, the people down in the Rio Grande Valley will offer to pay off a doctor's loans if he moves to the Rio Grande Valley.
that I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll move.
they're,
I'll
they're,
move. I'll move in a hurry.
Yeah,
That's
and again, there's a just it's just where knowledge is power. And like you were asking earlier, is there one source with all the scholarships? Well, there are several people who compile the list, and I subscribe to many of the lists of the people who compile every single college and every single scholarship that they offer. Okay, if you want that list, give me your credit card number, because it's an expensive list. All right. Now, and I work from the list. I mean, I subscribe to about 12 different data providers, like the people who get this data up, not just scholarships, but data on colleges and data on admissions and things like that. So I have to absorb all this information. So when I counsel my students and my parents, I'm able to give them a very thorough, complete information so that it's timely and accurate. And so,
Hmm.
again, by armed with the information and getting rid of some of the ego attached to big name, high profile schools.
my
Um,
grandpa went to this academy, or my uncle, went to this, or your dad went to this university, so you gotta go. You don't have any choice.
well, if
Yeah.
they're willing to pay for it, that's
Yeah,
that's right. But
the
some.
legacy problem.
Yeah, the legacy. But see, there's two things with legacy. There's the legacy with mom, dad, grandpa, whatever went here, and they used to have some sort of leverage in admissions. They don't have that anymore. Now there's a second type of legacy, which is essentially the Bill Gates uh, type of legacy. That even though he didn't graduate from Harvard, Harvard considers him an alum,
Yeah, I bet.
Because he gives them a lot of money. Okay,
I
okay.
bet.
Mark ditto for Mark Zuckerberg. But what happens?
Honorary.
Yeah, they honorary. But see, what they do is schools like that. I'll give you an example. West Point. West Point's not looking for good cadets. They're looking for people who'll be good officers. So they're looking for that legacy. What is this person going to do for us after college? Okay,
Mhm.
it's like Barack Obama's daughter. She got in on legacy. Okay, who's going to turn the president of the United States down? Okay, no, nobody.
Nobody.
All right,
No one.
and so, but that's an investment. The president's daughter is a
Mhm.
long-term investment for Harvard. So they're looking at what's the long term. Is this guy going to be a chief justice of the Supreme Court? Is this girl going to be a senator? Okay, those are things like that, and that's, believe it or not, a lot of colleges look for the long game. Harvard is one of them. They look at the long game. They look at how many families can we co-opt, to bring into our extended alumni associate network who are going to be able to pump money, into the trust fund.
Sure.
So there's a whole lot that goes on with this. There are, and so sometimes you can get a student that is going to be better profiled, and they will be heavily recruited. Okay, just like
Scouted.
athletics.
Scouted.
So
Mhm.
you would say basically, not saying all cases, but there are many cases that are based off of status,
Yeah.
social status.
Well, not so much
Mm.
social status. That would
Well,
that
not
would help.
social, but status in the U.S. Whether it's a certain type of celebrity or they had some type
Yeah.
of high rank in the government, being
Well,
like,
celebrities had a problem a couple of years ago. you know, at USC, where
because I've
they
seen quite a few of them
well,
getting honoraries when it
well,
comes down to
yeah,
celebrities.
yeah, but you saw where the celebrities were paying money to get their kids into USC. That was
Oh, I know exactly which star you're talking
yeah,
about. I
yeah.
won't
So
mention
so
them.
no, so we're not looking for that kind. But there is sometimes where the colleges will have to make a subjective decision. But on the most
Mhm.
part, tell you what, if you've got the grades, you got the test scores, you got a way to pay for college. Now you may
Mhm.
not get a full scholarship to an expensive private school, but you're going to be able to go to a good college.
And
And that's
make it
why
up.
you got to target the colleges that give you money. You don't want
That
to target colleges that
Right.
don't give you money. Don't waste your time on it. If you're looking for scholarship money, you can't be so good that they're going to change their policy just to give you money. No, they're not going to do that. You got to
uh,
go where you're going to be
Mhm.
celebrated. Go where uh, uh, they're going to
what
be able to give you money. It's That's how you target it. So when I work with kids, I give my litany of the first 12 colleges to look at, because these colleges all have low hanging fruit. You've got the scores, you've got the grades, you apply to these college, chances are you're going to get $80 to $100,000.
makes sense.
Mhm.
It's not uncommon for us to have kids getting over $1 million in scholarship offers. My top kid was $1.72 million in scholarship offers at 16 full
Jeez.
scholarship offers.
Jeez,
And
that's a
he,
lot of
he
money.
did it primarily on grades and test scores. That was it. Grades and test scores.
I love
And
that.
people say, test optional, test optional, test optional. Yeah, well, the 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 the, the college data set, all the statistics for the colleges, based on the information of that, if a student has a test score that's in the mid range and above for the typical student going to that school, they have a half again, 50% greater chance of being admitted because they have their test scores versus those who don't. Now, it's test optional. Yes, that means they don't cut points
Mhm.
because you don't have it. But if you have a test score, it brings you up.
It adds
And
to it.
that's
Makes
what they don't
sense.
understand. It adds to it. It's optional. So if you want to try to do it without the test score, but if somebody who has a good test score, that increases their capital.
Yeah.
We're not gonna punish you, but we won't hold it against you. But it does
Yeah,
help you. It
that's
does
right.
help you.
It does,
Mhm.
and so I still have people. Well, it's test optional. It's test optional. That doesn't mean you blow the test off.
Right.
Okay,
That's true.
and the test a lot of times is a great mitigator. If you've got high test scores and let's say lower than 3.5, those test scores can help you.
Yeah.
Move you up a little bit. I didn't have a great GPA in high school, but I had a 35 ACT score. Okay, and everybody
It's
looked
all
at the
right.
ACT score.
Blessed be the fruit. It is all
I,
right.
I did not. I did not have a high GPA. That's why I joined the military, y'all. That's
Yeah,
why I did
well,
that.
It's all right. Thank you
Well,
for serving as well. Thank you for
the
serving.
military paid for my undergraduate degree. When I was on active duty, I used the tuition assistance, got my master's degree, and used the
Smart,
GI Bill for my PhD. And
smart.
sent two kids on. In Texas, we have a thing called the Hazelwood Act, which means that once you've exhausted your GI Bill, you get to go to state schools for free. Well, that's transferable to spouse and kids. So I used Hazelwood Act to put the other two kids through uh, state schools. So
Slick.
$30,000 total for mom and two daughters.
Woo, woo,
I,
winning.
I have a question. Yes. I definitely have a question. I know we're talking about the kids who haven't made it there yet, and the kids who probably in college right now. But what about the adult children, the adult kids that made it out? Do you have anything for us that can help with the debt, or are
Well,
we just at this point?
I've got to look at the specific situation. There is no one blanket thing you can do for the debt. I've got to figure out
Gotcha.
what kind of debt you have, what the payments are, what your current financial situation is, and are you willing to make a employer change?
Yeah, that's real.
Mm.
I wanna ask, how has your business shifted? We just came out, well, we're technically still in, out of COVID-19. Have you seen any shifts in how the scholarships work? Are there any new scholarships specific for like families that have been impacted by COVID? How has that affected your business and how you help families and students? Has that changed at all, or you're still
Yeah,
running the same thing?
it's changed. In fact, see, my business has been online since 1998. So the whole going online thing been a big deal for us. And so we actually had growth during COVID. Um, Now, the other thing that we encounter is because of the change in some of the test optional things. When we're going for scholarships, for example, let's take Kentucky. For their top scholarship, it's a 32 ACT and a 3.5, or a 4.0 without test scores. So the scale, if you have test scores, the GPA scale will go up higher.
Okay.
Mm.
So I tell them
Clear.
take the test. I mean, well, we have a very extensive test preparation process. I've had students jump 400 points over Christmas break, and I've had students on the SAT. On ACT, I've had people jump 10 points in 6 weeks because we teach them how to beat the test. I mean, the tests are beatable. You
And
just
this
have to
is
learn how to beat them.
And your program is all online. I don't have
Oh
to
yeah,
fly anywhere. I don't have to sit in a
it's all on,
classroom.
it's all online. And if you need coaching, we have coaches. We just teach them how to beat the test. I mean, the particularly the people at the SAT, they know who I am, and I've been beating the test for 30 years, and they don't like me, so it's okay. But and they've changed the test I think 4 times in the last 8 years or something. They're always trying to get up, and ACT has been there stable. So we have a process. We focus on SAT all the way up through the junior year and the PSAT because that's what we want. That's what we're shooting for, those scholarships. But after that, we shift them over to ACT because ACT is a more legitimate test, in my opinion. It's a better test. It's easier to improve your score, and because there's 4 components. It's easier to manage your super score because that's what a lot of colleges will take is your highest component score over multiple tests. So you can take your high math score from this test, your high science score from this test, your high English score, and you get what's called a super score. And so it
Mm.
allows you to focus on certain areas and bump your score up. So there's
Sounds like
ways of if it's gaming the system, okay, but it's understanding that you can game the
it sounds like
system.
credit score. It sounds like a credit score thing. Like, okay, your Experian is this, your Equifax
Yeah,
is this, and then this is your super
yeah,
overall credit score. So now we'll approve you for the loan. Like what?
yeah.
But
Yeah,
the
and so
work you have to
and
do.
but you have some schools that super score and some schools that don't. Most schools super
Mm.
score.
So yeah,
Harvard super scores.
absolutely. So you recommend starting as early as seventh grade with the getting on those grades, getting your grades right,
So,
focusing, buckling down. How long is your program, doctor?
When you say how long, it depends on when you start.
Okay,
I mean,
so like
I've had kids start in my program in the 6th grade, and I'm still working with them getting into graduate school or law
okay,
school or med school.
okay, yes sir, yes sir.
I've had
so
one
you
family
would.
with me for 12 years. Okay. I started them out when they were 8th graders, and I've got there's 3 siblings, and I'm working on sibling number 3 on applying to grad school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Karmea. You had a question?
No, I was just thinking about this. Because they're not my blood children, but they're going to be my stepchildren soon. And you have a 13, 14, 15, and he just said 6th and 7th grade. I'm like, oh, we late.
Yeah, late to the
We're
game.
late.
Well, your optimal
So,
hit time is sophomore year. If they come in as a sophomore, we still have time to get things done, but we got to get things done. You see, we have a lot of ambitious parents and a lot of low ambition students. And if we don't have a high ambition student, you're wasting your time. In fact, I told some parents a few weeks ago. I said, I'm stopping you from the program. You're not going to pay me any more money to send an email to you every Monday telling you how much work your kid didn't do. I'm asking the kids.
understood completely.
I say at this point, I'm asking 3 hours a week from the kid. If the kid doesn't have 3 hours a week, then he's doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing. All right. So if you can give me a good solid 3 hours a week, all right. Now, once we get
Hmm.
into, let's say, the junior year, my program, if you stick to it, it's going to cost you 100 to 120 hours. All right.
Right.
About 100 to 120 hours. Now, if you work for me for 100 hours, I mean diligently, I'm doing not putting in union time, sitting there, moving your mouse or whatever. Okay, but really work 100 hours, and we get you a $100,000 scholarship. What's your ROI on that?
100%.
No, 1,000%.
1,000%. Yeah.
Okay, now how much an hour is that?
Money wise, I don't know.
It's $1,000 an hour. Now, I'm just asking you to work for 100,000. I'm going to ask you to work for $1,000 an hour. Okay?
I would do
Would you
that.
work for 1,000? I mean, what would you do for $1,000 an hour?
I would do that. I would do that.
That's what I got to get in their head. Your work is worth $1,000 an hour because you get the scores, you get the stuff you need, and you get a $100,000 scholarship. You've worked 100 hours. It's $1,000 an hour. Now that's just a model on how we work. Because some kids get more, some kids get less, but you still, 800% return on investment. All right,
That's
so
huge.
so that's what you have to look at, and that's because when people start talking price with me, I talk return on investment. Because if I say, they say, well, it's going to cost too much. I say you're going to pay 5 times for that, 5 times what you're going to pay me that first semester. So you're going to have to come up with the money somehow, and you can borrow it, and then your kid's stuck, and you're stuck for the next 40 years.
True. Paying for something that you may not even use.
That's right. The biggest problem that you run into is people don't realize that 25 to 30% of the people who hold student debt didn't graduate.
That hurts.
Yeah, and
I believe it.
they're paying. And there's the difference between the kid who graduates and goes to the vocational school and the kid that goes to college and drops out. Is the kid who went to college and dropped out has debt.
Yeah.
And college isn't for everyone. I mean, I deal with about 15-20% the people who make inquiries, and I go through a program with them that says you don't need to go to college. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, why? I mean, if
You would tell a student go to a trade school or don't go to college?
if they're being pushed by their parents and they don't feel it, they need to go. Why not? I mean, your forklift operators in Las Vegas are making $126,000 a year. All right. Compare that to the kid who just got out of college with gender studies degree, who's going to be waiting tables. Okay. I mean, really. I mean, so
college isn't for everybody. You got electricians who's making good money.
That's right. I mean, here's the scenario we point out. Okay, let's say a guy goes to medical school and blah 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 blah. By the time he's 30, he's starting his practice. Okay.
Ooh, the stress.
Another kid goes to vocational school and becomes a plumber, and over those 12 years builds his business up and stuff. At the end, at age 30, the plumber's making more money than the doctor is.
And he started earlier. He started working earlier.
He started working earlier, built his business up, and and so and then the people don't. Yeah, again, you need to realize that not everybody is cut out for college. You have a lot of people out there like Benjamin Franklin. He didn't go to college. He was considered a scholar. So you become a Benjamin Franklin scholar, become self-educated. Okay, Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs. He has a scholarship program for people to go to Votech.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
and
your
so
program works also to direct people to trades as well, not
right,
just
right.
the
So I
traditional.
Mm-hmm.
well, I even have what branch of service were you in, Marcus?
Navy.
Maybe. I don't know if they have a green to gold program, but and the Army has a green to gold program. How enlisted men can go through a program and become officers by going to college while they're on active duty. Okay. Now, there are some people, and I put a program together for them where they enlist, and in their 4 years of their enlistment, they finish college, and they have Uncle Sam pay for it while they're going through their enlistment, and they're going to have to dedicate 2 nights a week to go to college. If they dedicate 2 nights a week to go to college, they'll finish college within 4 years. They will have no debt. It'll all be paid for. They'll have their GI Bill, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I tell them all to, if you can, make it go into the military through Texas, because you have the Hazelwood Act, which means if you go in through Texas and you go into the military, you're going to thank me 30 years from now when your kids are having their college paid for because you came out of Texas. Yeah. So there's just that, and we got to think of the long game. We got to think of
Mm-hmm.
the one standard deviation out. And there's ways of doing this. If you enlist, how to go green to gold. We have a student just went through green to gold. It was really ironic. They're twins, a girl and boy. Boy enlists, a girl goes on an ROTC scholarship. He's going to get commissioned before she will.
Why?
Because he got through the degree program. All you need to go to commissioning in the Army is 2 years of college, so he's going into commissioning.
Wow. Wow.
So I mean, again,
case by case.
Those guys, like, who work at the level that I work in, we're like surgeons. We know how to do this. Now, not every single surgery is the same. They have some generalities or certain standard procedures, but not every single. So we get in there and we can find out things where you have one twin going to college, one twin going into the Army, and there's again, if you know what you're doing, you're going to find these little niche opportunities because you know where the niches are, you know where the rocks are, where to walk on the water.
Yeah. My last, do you help with any international college? Like, I want to send my child to Japan.
Yeah, we've had students go to Korea, Japan. It's a little trickier to do that. Now, I've had one student go to Leeds in England for law school. So it's a little trickier. You're not going to get a lot of money out of them, but sometimes those colleges are free. It depends on where you go. The Japanese colleges are highly, highly, highly competitive. You start preparing for Japanese college in kindergarten.
Wow.
I believe it. I definitely do.
Wait, why do you believe that?
Because the preschool determines which kindergarten you go to. The kindergarten determines which elementary school you go to. The elementary school determines which junior high you go to. The junior high determines which high school you go to. Which high school you go to determines which college you go to.
It's like the education is on a different level there. So they start so early on how they build their children. I definitely believe it's highly competitive, and they're very careful who they choose. Definitely believe it.
Well, if we were to hold to European standards for college admission, 2/3 of our kids wouldn't be able to get into college.
I believe it.
And people say, why is European college so inexpensive? Well, if the students could meet the same standard that the European colleges have for admission, they would be getting full scholarships in the United States.
We're not as competitive, yeah.
Yeah, well, we are, except we let a lot of other people in who get to pay for college so that those kids who get scholarships can go with scholarships. There's nothing wrong with those people who pay retail. Thank you for paying for my scholarship.
True. That's so true. Doctor, you have been absolutely phenomenal. This is groundbreaking. Is there anything that I didn't ask? We didn't ask you that you wanted to get out, needed to get out, just something we missed tonight?
No, there's really not. I can't give you one thing, or I can give you 1,000 things. So I'm going to leave it at that.
That's fair. Doctor, how can people find you? How can people connect? Because we need this, right? The deficit is going through the roof. The money's out the door, and we're not getting the returns on our investment as parents. As parents, How can people
Well,
connect
they
with you?
hit my website, BeasleyCollegePrep.com. You can correspond with us, set up a consult, because we'll offer a free consult to your clientele base here, your network. If there's too many of them, we'll do a specific webinar for them, because sometimes we've had these podcasts and 100 people descend on us, and I can't get them all scheduled in. So I said, okay, we're going to do a webinar. Tune in. And
Everybody watch.
everybody watch, or we'll record it and send it out to everybody. But yeah, they can contact me at BeasleyCollegePrep.com, and we can see if we can provide some solutions.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Love it. Y'all connect. That's www.beasleycollegeprep.com. If you can't spell that, I'm just kidding. It's Beasley, BEASLEY collegeprep.com. Check it out.
Right.
Schedule that appointment, y'all. Get on that calendar, because he had me at the Excelsior College, right? He had me at the Excelsior College. Free. We like $3 over here. So
yes.
Thank you, Doctor, for being here. We appreciate you. Thank you for doing this, because we need this. What you're doing is absolutely necessary. So don't ever quit. Don't ever give up.
I'm not.
Thank you. And thank you, my audience, for tuning in to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was insightful. I hope this was impactful. I hope it helps you change your future. 7th grade, if you're going international, kindergarten. All right, those are the two. And then be honest with yourself. What you would probably pay him and his team is probably pales into comparison to what you're going to pay for the rest of your life. So
Very
huge.
true.
Super true. So thank you all for tuning in. We gotta end the show. We gotta let Dr. Beasley go and let him continue to help save this country. Like I always end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and Karmea Wells.
Yes.
Signing off. Thank you, Dr. Beasley. Take care, sir. Love y'all. Bye.